It is a responsibility and a point of pride. Delivering clean, reliable water remains a top priority for Fayetteville and surrounding communities every single day, because clean water supports healthy families, strengthens neighborhoods, and helps communities thrive today and for generations to come. Discover more about the difference quality water makes at faypwc.com. Fayetteville PWC, always there, always on, always built to serve.
I'm Pastor Jerry D. Swinney from Bethel Christian Assembly at 1065 Progress Street here in the city of Fayetteville, North Carolina. And you're listening to Wake Up.
This is Bishop Johnny Ray Jr. of the Churches of Worship Worldwide, Apostle J.A. McDonough, 2118 Owen Drive. We are proud to be a part of the Wake Up. Come and join the team.
Welcome back. Wake Up continues on WIDU, the We Do Radio Network. We're also via live Facebook and YouTube. All of our live viewers, good morning. Welcome. Be sure to like, share, and comment. And with Wake Up with MP3 Radio Talk Show, yep, you can call in. The earlier, the better. Now is a good time. Phone lines open at 910-483-6111. They have great topics lined up today. They have a great show lined up overall for today. So let us enjoy MP3 Radio Talk Show with the Pitts Brothers. They are in studios. We have one that is on the way, but we got the best of the Pitts Brothers. Good morning to you, gents. We're ready for you. We're ready for MP3 Radio Talk Show in the midst of WIDU's Wake Up. Hope you two are doing well, and it's on you all.
Doing excellent. Thank you again, Tammy, for that warm introduction. I am Myron Pitts.
Module Pitts.
And we are MP3.
You're not going to say Marshall Pitts is on his way and then we are MP3.
I guess he's on his way.
You just excommunicated him all together.
Here he comes straggling in as if on cue. So
I want to make sure y'all notice something,
joined
though.
us. We might as well run it back since he's back in.
Yeah.
Kick it off, Marsh. You got to get right on the mic and get on it.
First of all, you're giving false statements. You weren't MP3, you're MP2 till I got you.
Oh, okay.
That's the first thing.
But he was already wrapping it up. We are MP3.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I am Marshall Pitts.
Module Pitts.
And Myron Pitts.
And we are
MP3.
Good morning, everybody.
I want to bring notice to something.
We're back to full strength.
It always amazes me. It doesn't amaze me, but it's true that the only time Tammy always says we have the best here. You know, whoever's missing, except when I'm missing. When I'm missing, she never said that we have the best here already.
I'll be listening closely the next time you're not
next
here.
time I'm out, I want you to
also
notice
are usually here.
So we'll monitor that.
I want you to notice that because she knows we don't have the best here.
Yeah. All right, so we got happy Mother's Day weekend to everybody. We got some good topics here, as typical. We're going to talk about a Chick-fil-A employee in Texas who had a scheme to where he got himself put $80,000 on his personal credit card, somehow using some bogus mac and cheese purchases. So we'll talk about that. Then we're going to talk about the expansion of the men's and women's basketball tournaments. You know, it used to be, when we were coming up, it was 48 teams, if that?
Something like that.
36 when Marshall was coming along.
Yeah, maybe 30, maybe 16 when he was coming along. But they're talking about expanding the tournament to, they are going to expand the tournament to 76 teams. We're talking NCAA basketball. So we'll talk about that. And then it's Mother's Day weekend, as was mentioned. And we're going to talk about it's a real personal story that USA Today wrote about a mom who's estranged from her adult son and how she's navigating that tricky relationship. But it's in the context of there are a lot of people, statistically, who are estranged from at least one family member. It's the kind of thing
it's
we
more
know.
Than you would think.
It's more than you would think.
Really,
We kind of know anecdotally people who are estranged. But it's a pretty big number. So we'll talk about that and the implications of that, particularly for Mother's Day. And lastly, time permitting, that's always, we're going to talk about, and if we don't get to it this show, we're certainly going to talk about it later. The Voting Rights Act ruling, basically, it was hollowed out by the Supreme Court, and already some southern states, really for whom the ruling was made, have started wiping out black districts, black congressional districts.
It's a free-for-all now.
It's a free-for-all. It's a free-for-all. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take it out to Texas here. He's a former Chick-fil-A employee at this point. A guy named
How long
Keyshawn
had he worked for them?
He didn't say.
He didn't say.
Oh,
Keyshawn Jones. He was arrested last month, and that's followed a 5-month investigation. Now we can question why it took 5 months for this, but now
Police officers love their investigations.
so
they
now,
love a good investigation.
So now he's in a
You
town
investigate
called
mac and cheese being stolen
That's
for
right.
5 months.
5 months, right? That's
right.
some extra
They
time
love
on
their
some law
investigations.
enforcement's hands.
Well, they say it was fake macaroni and cheese trade.
Yeah, he didn't even actually serve
He
up
didn't-
in it.
No,
So
he didn't
this is a
serve.
place
He
called
just processed as being served.
I
Yeah.
guess I'll get to it at some point.
Yeah.
It's a place called
We'll let you set it up.
Grapevine, Texas. And this former employee, Mr. Jones, he was laid off. Did it ever say why he was laid off? He was fired. But he came back. I guess he must have kept the keys after he was laid off. And then it shows that, and as a matter of fact, he came back about a month afterward. But it shows him, the surveillance video shows him running off some transactions on the cash register. And what he was doing was ringing up roughly 800 orders of mac and cheese. And then...
Oh, this was just at one time. I thought it was pilfered over a
it was
period of time.
overtime. Right, it was overtime. Then he issued refunds.
This was the last batch.
He issued refunds to his personal credit card. So he rung it up like someone had bought some mac and
Right.
cheese, canceled it out as a refund, and it went back to his card. So I guess he was the phantom buyer of these and it totaled pretty eye-popping figure, $80,000 if just that.
Well,
so police said Jones evaded arrest despite multiple attempts to locate him. He was finally taken into custody, as I mentioned last month, on April 15th.
So he eluded arrest he was on the lam for how long?
It's not clear.
This
It's
is a
not
master
clear.
criminal. Master criminal. It's hard to catch you. He got 80,000 in his pocket too.
The Texas Attorney General's Fugitive Task Force stepped in and helped the Fort Worth Police Department nail the.
Did you get that?
The Phantom
What?
mac and
Who nailed them?
cheese
Fugitive Task Force
salesperson. So
They
Chick-fil-A
put together a fugitive task force.
They love their investigations.
Well, I assume the task force was existing.
Yeah, but why do you need a task force to investigate somebody who's stealing mac and cheese?
You
over
just
the period?
said the guy's a master criminal.
He's no
Somehow
master
he
criminal.
evaded.
He ain't no master
He
criminal.
evaded arrest
He's stealing mac and
despite
cheese.
multiple attempts to locate him. And it's not clear from this story, which is, there's not a whole lot of reporting here, but it's not clear from this story how he evaded arrest, how many times he went back into the restaurant, why he still had access to the restaurant after he had been fired a
So
month
now
prior.
this is
Lots of questions here.
Yeah, lots of questions, and you think about it. Step one is he should not be able to come back into the restaurant other than as a customer.
Period.
Right.
And then,
And maybe not even then, depending on the circumstances of how he was fired. Because some people want to come back and be violent.
That's
in
exactly
places
right.
they got
That's
fired.
exactly right. So
Right.
I've had a little bit of it, and I know, Marsh, you fired some employees too.
Yeah.
So
Why
I've had a
are you
little
dragging
bit,
me into this?
Yeah, because I
Well,
know
you
you
have
have.
fired
Yeah,
some
you've had to let something
You,
go.
you
It's
don't.
just some-
You
this is a
two don't
situation
know
you've
whether
had-
I've fired anybody
You've
or
had to let
not. You
some
have
go.
no idea what I'm doing about it.
Only a good manager has had to fire someone every now and then. So now
Yeah, you have to.
I'm assuming you're a
And
good
you've been
manager.
in business
So
for a
now,
while.
so that being the
For
case,
a minute.
we've had to let some people go.
Yeah,
And the very
yeah.
first thing you do, one of the very first things you do is when
Take
you let
the
them
keys.
go, you take their keys, ID badges, cards,
Badge, any access
all
they would
any
have to the
access
office.
they have to the building. And in the past, because we figured some people might be a little bit disgruntled, we had to post their picture. We had to
If
give
you
their,
see this
we had to
person,
give
oh,
their
really?
picture to the door, people
Yeah.
at the doors, to
Oh,
let them
wow.
know if you see this person, you need to question them about why they're coming into the building.
Yeah.
Right.
And then so a lot of times what will happen is everyone doesn't know whether it be at Chick-fil-A or someone else, everyone doesn't know that the guy's been fired.
Right.
They don't know what happened to this employee. And now here he is, shows up behind the counter, and no one thought anything was wrong with it because, he used to work there.
Yeah.
And so you have to be real. Now, a manager, that's a manager's fault.
Yeah.
That is definitely a manager's fault. A manager should have, when you let this guy go, you're supposed to take care of all of that. You're supposed to do the exit interview. You're supposed to let him know why you let him go. Collect everything you're supposed to collect. Yeah. And then you're supposed to inform all of the employees that this guy has been let go. Yeah. You don't get into why.
Right.
But matter of fact, you don't even say he's let go.
Right.
You just say he no longer works at Chick-fil-A.
Correct. He says, you don't want to get into liability.
You don't want to get into why he's gone and all this other kind of stuff. But you let people know when someone
now,
has
you
been
don't even
let
want to get into why that person's gone to other people who call and want to know.
That's correct.
Get information on that person.
It would be
That's exactly
unwise.
right.
Prospective employers.
That's exactly right. And you handle that way. He no longer works here. He worked here from this time period to this time period. Now he no longer works here. And that's the only thing we did with the state. So a manager is going to be in trouble for this too. It's not just when something like this happens, you think it's the employees, the former employees' fault. But you got other people because Myron, you stated that could have been a dangerous situation.
Right.
This guy could come in there with and come in there with the intent to harm somebody.
So let's talk about what these mac and cheeses cost, because he had to ring up a lot. So as of May of 2026,
only about 10 or 12, but they're very expensive. Chick-fil-A has some expensive mac and cheese.
Yeah,
is it pretty good?
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I haven't had it before. I don't think I've had their mac and cheese. But as of May 2026, the small mac and cheese, of course, is different prices across the country. But in Chick-fil-A, a small costs between $4.15 and $4.45. That's the small. The medium will run you around $7.79. Let's call it $8. And the large costs roughly $9.95. Let's call that $10. That's a lot of money for a mac and cheese.
So that's why he's ringing up the large one.
Apparently.
Probably, yeah.
So you can keep down on the how many times you got
transitions.
To do it.
Yeah. And it seems an odd way to pilfer money. So you wonder if there's something else going on with this fella.
Like what?
Like maybe some kind of mental health type situation.
He's trying to make money.
It seems an odd way to do it. And it also seems a way. It also seems
mental health issues on the man.
A pretty obvious way to. I mean, you're not going to get away with it. I mean, he has to know that there's surveillance cameras in the place.
He had gotten away with it. The only thing that kept him
not
from,
long term.
The only thing that kept him from getting away with it altogether was greed. Mm-hmm. Just like it hurt. Listen,
if he had done it and stopped.
If he had done it a couple of times and stopped, you would have gotten away with it. No one would have noticed.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A is a billions and billions of dollar industry. No one would have noticed at that store.
Now he faces charges of property theft, money laundering, and evading arrest, according to police. I saw another story about the same incident that said that altogether he could face 10 years in prison. What do y'all think of that sentence?
The amount, what was the total? $80,000.
Yeah.
That seems a little stiff to me.
Yeah.
But I think it sounds like they want to make an example of this guy for whatever reason. Because that doesn't, to me, that doesn't rise to a level of 10 years. But I don't do criminal law, but it doesn't sound right to me.
Yeah.
Which means you don't do criminal law.
I don't do criminal law.
He doesn't do it.
And you all keep trying to make me a criminal lawyer for years.
You do deal with criminals, though, don't you? You don't deal with no criminals at all?
No, I do civil litigation and civil law.
Okay.
Personal injury, disability, Social Security disability.
It's always amazed me how them lawyers try to separate themselves from others. Criminal lawyer, civil lawyer, it's all the same thing. But what I would say is I wonder how much money my sentence, if I'm a judge, is going to be based on how much money Chick-fil-A can recoup.
Yeah.
If he's that, which we know he's
probably
not.
Zero.
But if he's sitting on $80,000 because he ain't spending on, which we know he probably has. But if he's sitting on $80,000, he's like, Judge, here's the money back. I mean, I didn't spend any of it.
Yeah.
Then the sentence is going to be definitely a lot lighter.
Yeah.
Maybe in probationary status at that point. But if he doesn't gotten all the $80,000 and he doesn't have any way of paying any type of restitution or anything, give him 5 or 6 years, if that.
Even that seems a lot.
Yeah.
But
you don't want to get no time. Sounds like.
Well, sometime.
Yeah,
maybe
but I don't think it should be 5 or 6 years.
Probation.
That's a long time.
Because
$80,000 is quite a bit of. I mean, it's not quite a bit of money for Chick-fil-A.
Yeah,
but it is quite a bit of money.
Yeah,
it's quite a bit of money for Chick-fil-A now, but it's quite a bit of money.
And whatever, I would always tell people when you see these potential charges or prison time in stories like this, it's always based on if the person is convicted of all the charges, and all the charges include the most serious ones. So rarely do they serve, outside of like murders and that type of thing, do people serve the time that they say they could serve when these stories first break. So he probably won't get anywhere near 10 years, but I kind of agree with Marshall. I don't even think 5 or 6 years is
that's stiff. That's still stiff.
But sometime, yes, I do think their ability to recoup some of this money should be something that the judge looks at, and I hope the guy gets the help he needs, basically. Because I told you, I think Maj, you sent this story out to us, and I said that he could be using his sort of ingenious type way of thinking for something positive.
Well, I agree with that, but why do you keep placing a mental health condition on him? He looks to me just like a guy that's using his wits and talents illicitly to make money.
It looks a little funny on his picture.
That's he.
Yeah.
Is it what?
He said, look a little funny on his picture. It's an easy way to say he's thieving. So that's what he's doing. And listen, some people are mental health.
Yeah.
But and this guy, I don't know about his mental health challenges.
We don't know. Yeah,
we don't know anything about his mental health.
Well, Myra said he's got health.
But we do know.
I don't know.
He might have mental health challenges, but we do know he's smart.
Yeah, that's right.
So, and those two can go together.
Of course.
Right.
They can go together.
Go together all the time.
Yeah. They can go together. But, I mean, the guy should be consequenced.
Yeah,
there
needs to be consequences.
Probation,
for sure.
whatever it is. I don't know his criminal history.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's been in trouble before. The story didn't say. So, I don't know if he's done something like this before at another place. Who knows? But I do know he should be consequenced. And you're right. They're going to make an example of him. Chick-fil-A is. And they're also going to make an example of this manager. Now, we're not going to hear about that.
We might not hear about that,
But they're going to make an example of this manager.
If he still had keys and stuff, that manager's gone.
They need to do something with that. Whoever that person is.
It stands out also because of the Chick-fil-A. Such has a reputation, and I think well-earned, being extremely well-earned, well-run companies, even down to the individual franchises. So NCAA tournament, guys, March Madness, one of my favorite times of year. The current field of teams is 64 with 4 play-in games. So the field is 68 teams total. So now they're expanding that by a few teams up to 76 teams. Sounds like a lot of teams. Now, Mike, you did the math on this. What was your math?
1/5 of the teams.
1/5 of teams in Division I, because that's what we're talking about. I don't know how the other
We'll go to the NCAA tournament.
That's right. So you got a pretty good shot if you could put together a decent team, particularly from one of the large conferences.
It doesn't have to be a decent team, just a team.
I would
it's
say
one out of every 5. It's one out of every 5. So, just put together a team.
Now, this is actually the first time the men's tournament has been expanded since 2011. First time the women's tournament has been expanded. They expanded a few years ago in 2022. Tim Sands, the chair of the Division I Board of Directors, who's also the president at Virginia Tech, he says, quote, expanding the Division I men's and women's basketball championships is the right decision for the student athletes and programs that will now have access to the greatest, I'm sure they mean to one of the greatest events in college sports. And he says, as NCAA leaders, we are especially excited to provide additional, highly competitive games for fans who look forward to March Madness every year.
He didn't say anything about money in it.
Right. That's ridiculous.
That's step 1. But step 2 is...
Wait a minute. What did you say about money?
He didn't say anything about money.
Oh, yeah. Money is just driving this.
Yeah, we know that. but no mention of it at all. That's the reason they're doing it.
Yeah, of course. All those other colorful reasons why. But then the other thing he stated that correct. It's the greatest.
Yeah, it is.
In college sports.
Yeah. It moved to the 64. Let me throw this in there, Mike. It moved to the 64-team format in 1985. I didn't know it was that long ago. It went from 64 to 65 in 2001, and then added 3 more teams in 2011 to form what they call the first 4. They used to call it the play-in games. They call it the first 4 now.
That's what they call them, the first 4?
Yeah. UNC was
it should be the last 4.
Yeah.
It should be the last 4.
It should be.
Last 4 to get in.
Last 4 doesn't sound good.
It's not good.
Right. But you don't
That's why he's the last four.
Yeah, but you want to market it. You want to market it.
You want to market it. Right.
First
so,
four.
So now,
that's so disingenuous to me, though. I mean, you talk about all these great things that it can, but you don't talk about at least say that the revenue that it would generate for these schools or whatever to increase their athletics and give other kids opportunities to participate in these kind of activities and sports. He could have phrased it like that, but did not mention money at all when we know that money is the central factor that they're doing this.
Yeah.
It just seems disingenuous.
So will they still have teams then? So we're going to have 76 teams, so we're still going to have teams. Listen, if you can't make the tournament now, if you're a coach and you have a team, this puts a lot of pressure on teams, on coaches,
You'll
players.
still have complaints about people.
You'll still have complaints, and then you're going to still have people saying, I was at least at 76 teams. I was at least in the top 80. I should have gotten consideration. I was at least 77.
You were acting like they added 100 teams. They just added 8 teams, Miles.
That's a lot of teams.
A lot of people,
it's too many teams already. That's about the 64 was too many. It's too many teams.
No.
48 teams it's just like anything else. It's driven. It's driven, just like our first story, it's driven by greed.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's
Right.
driven by wanting to make. That's the reason why the NFL went 14 games was enough in the NFL. They went to 16. Now it's 17.
They were at 12 first, 12 to 14.
And now they're talking 18.
See,
It's just too much
I
money.
agree that the money is a factor in all
No, it's
these.
not a
No,
factor.
No. I agree with that. But you're mixing kind of things that, like, the NFL shouldn't have a longer season because it's hurt. The sport itself damages the players. CTE. So to raise that number of games, and they raised the number of games in the NFL even since they discovered that they were damaging the brain. So that's one kind of greed.
Greed is
This
greed.
is different.
I
This is
want
just
more
giving
money.
more fans more basketball.
What I'm saying to you, what I'm saying
I
to you,
want more basketball.
What I'm saying to you is the same thing that drives the NFL is the same thing that's driving college.
But one is a
Greed.
lot more
And-
sinister, though, is what I'm saying. Those
Greed
aren't the
is
same
greed.
to me.
Well,
And also distinguish between the Chick-fil-A guy. That's criminal activity. So that's a whole different other kind of greed. It's all driven by a desire for money. But two things, to me, are just flat out wrong.
It falls under the greed umbrella. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm
It
saying.
does.
The Chick-fil-A guy, the NCAA guy, the NFL people, it all falls under the greed umbrella. We can graduate our degrees of greed. We can. Yes, I believe that the NFL is more sinister.
Right.
But it's still driven. Why does it take 82 games in a basketball season?
Yeah.
It does not.
160 in baseball.
In the NBA.
Yeah.
It takes 182 games. And then
Yeah.
they've got all 7-game series.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, when it used to be the best
And
of
a
3
good
or the best of
percentage.
5. Now it's all 7 games.
A good
Well,
percentage
look at baseball.
of the
How many
NBA
games they got?
makes the
160, I
playoffs,
think
too.
it is.
Yeah, right.
And now baseball's jumped on demand. 162 games. They've had that for a while.
Yeah.
But now they've also got a play-in game at the end of the season.
Yeah.
It used to be just a team who won the pennant.
Right.
It's all driven. Like I said, it's graduated, but it's all under the greed umbrella. All of it.
Now, so how it will work to do 76 teams on the men's side? Let's see. There's the first 4, which we mentioned, they're going to be replaced. Now they're going to have a 12-game opening round. So that replaces the first 4. And the Tuesday,
So that's adding 8 teams. Okay.
So the Tuesday and Wednesday of the men's tournament will feature these 12 games played by 24 teams in 2 different cities. Then there will now be 3 games each day, and then they go to the cities that they play in. So they have it all worked out. And then the winners of those games will be in the round of 64, which will start on Friday. And so to me, look, I love March Madness. My favorite time of year, college basketball, particularly during March Madness, is my favorite sport. I say the more the merrier, within reason. And as Marshall said, you're just adding 8 more teams.
Okay, so
you're not adding 20
you keep
more
saying
teams.
the more the merrier, then where does it stop?
Within reason. I don't know. I haven't
that
reached my
reason?
point yet.
Because if this is successful,
Yeah.
you know what's next.
They're going to look to expand.
They're
some
going to
more.
increase it to 80 teams. And if that's
No,
successful,
but before
then
it's
they'll
all
treat
over.
the 86 teams, 90 teams,
Yeah.
100 teams. It's an open tournament. Everybody, come one, come all.
No,
Meanwhile,
it will
gets
get to that.
harder and harder, I think, to win.
Right. That's a selling point.
If you're a blue blood program like UNC, and many consider Duke in there too. I'm kidding. Duke is obviously a blue blood program. Kansas, Connecticut, programs that are used to winning these championships and have unreasonable fan bases that expect them to continue to winning multiple championships. That standard becomes a little bit harder, one would think.
It does. I already I sent you all the actual marquee for as it gets bigger. Mm-hmm. I sent you all this. It's coming. Mega Spring Madness, not March Madness. Mega Spring Madness, the most competitive basketball tournament in the world. 400 teams competing over a 2-month period. Single elimination. Winner takes all. That's it, man.
I can see it.
Right.
Yeah. So, but
then one thing I think one of a few arguments against it, I think, is that this does diminish just ever so much, and this is what happens when you expand the field. It diminishes the regular season. Because if you can have a relatively mediocre regular season
or bad
depending on what conference you're in, and still make the tournament, it takes a little of the fire out of the regular season. And not to mention the conference tournaments, because that's how in many conferences still the conference tournament champion is the champion of the league and gets that automatic berth. In some conferences, maybe less so now, but some conferences, that's their only team going. So it adds a live excitement to those conference tournaments. And then if we continually expanding the field, you could see that becoming very diminished too as well. But again, I'm not there yet. I'm fine with the 76 teams. Let's play ball.
You fine too?
Well, 76, yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it being 400.
That was good. I'm not fine with being 400. That's more than the teams in Division I, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
You're right.
What I'm saying is that, again, I never watch those. Not to say never, but usually I do not watch those
first four.
Those first four.
But now it's going to be 12. The 12 team.
And I'm not going to watch that last 12. Either.
I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it because then you get to see that'll be exciting to see because that's a little mini tournament.
It is. That's it. It is.
So,
it's a mini tournament of people who are probably not going to win.
We don't know.
The NCAA.
We don't know.
We can agree.
It creates some storylines.
So now the real teams don't start playing until Thursday and Friday, like
which is really the traditional 64-team tournament.
That's when I'll start picking it up too.
Right. Yeah.
Well, see, and then it becomes like a war of attrition. I mean, you got to win all these games. Mm-hmm. The ACC tournament is sort of like that now. They're playing on Monday and Tuesday, and you got to play 5-6 games to get to the championship.
That's right. That's right. And some teams don't make it.
Some teams
don't even make the tournament.
Don't even make the tournament.
Right. That's right. Because I remember it was really
which is kind of sad. I didn't like that because
NC State didn't make the ACC tournament. I feel like the 4 North Carolina teams, you just get an automatic berth just on pure history.
But that's just unheard of. You being in a conference and you can't make the tournament.
Yeah,
that doesn't
you playing
make sense.
Some bad basketball.
No, it is. The conference is too big, and of course the ACC is way past. It's not even Atlantic Coast anymore. You got California teams and
especially
Texas
basketball is way too big.
So that's the way they're going. 25% of the, every year it gives a lot of hope to a lot of programs that that probably wouldn't get it, and particularly for the smaller conferences, because this is who I think will benefit the most. It's going to benefit large conferences, but a lot of them send 3 or 4 teams anyway.
At least. Yeah.
And there's other conferences, as I mentioned, they will only send their conference tournament winner. So that dynamic could change.
It gives those smaller conferences hope that they'll make the tournament.
Yeah, right. Make the tournament.
Okay. Right. Because if you look at those final 4 those, what you call them, first 4?
Yeah, first 4.
Those first 4 have traditionally not done anything.
No, not much. UNC was the first 4. I think we lost. Did we win the first round?
We lost
the first round.
Got dusted off in the first game.
We weren't a strong team.
And so shouldn't have been there.
You shouldn't have been the tournament.
That's my point. And if listen, what I'm saying to you is that when you expand that tournament and stuff like that, you just have a bunch of teams that should not be there.
Now, this hurts, it's not in our story, definitely, is the NIT. The National Invitation Tournament.
Do they still do that?
They still do it.
Yeah,
they do. Somebody what you guys told me they had disbanded the NIT.
No, you told me that.
The NIT still
was
going.
gone.
Yeah,
And
they're still
it was
going.
that same night or the night after that I happened to be flipping through some sports and stuff. Man, they go to the NIT tournament right there.
I feel like Auburn either won it or was very close, and they were either in the final or won it. I got to look that up. The NIT, and that was one of the teams. You talk about these controversies that some people thought should have been in the tournament. And under the 76 team format, they probably would have been. So,
but anyway, we need to move on and get to the civil rights because we talked about it last week. We didn't get to it, so let's go, Myron.
Okay, so we're skipping the Mother's Day thing. Okay,
why you have to say it like that? No, no, we're not skipping the mothers. Let's give a shout out to the mothers.
Yeah.
We had a Mother's Day story.
Yeah, Mother's Day story. Yeah. So, but we'll get to the Voting Rights Act because it affects everyone here in this room.
We're not talking about the Mother's Day story on Mother's Day weekend.
Yeah, we need to talk about the Mother's Day. So I didn't realize we overlooked the story.
Okay, all right. So what we were talking about was
and shout out to Carol Pitts, our mother.
That's right.
She's been a very good mother to us for many, many years.
Yeah, shout out to Granny, as we call her now, because the grandkids, but also my wife Sarah, wonderful mother. I hope she's listening in. So we're going to talk about a woman named Kendall Williams, 53.
To Miles' mother as well, Jasmine. I want to say shout out to her as well.
All right, we got all the mothers covered, I believe. Yeah. Kendall Williams, 53. She won't be seeing her youngest son this Mother's Day, but that's nothing new for her. This is a story in USA Today. She's been estranged from her son, who is 30, since September of 2023. So in my mind, that's not a long time. But when she decided to cut off contact because she felt the relationship had become unhealthy and emotionally abusive.
Who cut off contact, the mother or the child?
The mom did. Okay. USA Today reached out to the son, who declined to comment on his relationship with his mother. Miss Williams says it wasn't an easy decision. I absolutely love both of my sons. She's still very close to her eldest son, who is 35. But my wife says she was listening. That's sweet. Love you, sweetie. But she's not convinced she'll ever be in a place where she can resume a relationship with her youngest. Sad to even hear that. She has written 2 books on the subject and frequently posts about her estrangement on social media platforms. Others often judge her, as you can imagine, it's social media. But those people, she says, don't understand the whole story.
So she's talking to everybody else, social media, but her son. What
so it sounds like you're judging. I had to step away from my...
very judgmental.
Well, he said it and then chuckled, but her son.
I had to step away from our relationship for my own well-being because I was also diagnosed with cervical cancer that same year. She said she had to focus on her health instead of putting all her focus on him, which I've done for many, many years. Now, we've all heard stories and been known people, and they will tell you the relationships that are the most difficult in their family, those are the ones that also take up the most time. Just because there's more components to it, there's more just it's all together, just a more range of emotions, because it's not just the love that you have of like she has her older son. There's other feelings that she describes as unhealthy and not good for her, and she was going through a cancer struggle.
Did she ever say in the story what made her do it? She said she used those terms like abusive and those type things, but did she ever say what that was?
I don't think she did, and I do believe that's either protecting her privacy or his privacy.
Right.
Or
no,
both.
the privacy's out the window now because she talked about it in the first place.
Well, not you.
She's all on social media.
Well,
she's all like, she wanted
that's
to be
your
private.
opinion.
She should have been yakking about it.
So she said so, and then the story goes into how looking at a YouGov poll from 2025 last year, it found 38% of Americans are estranged from at least one member of their family.
That's a very high number.
Yeah, that's a very high number.
Oh, wow. Almost 40%?
That surprises me.
Have one person
clearly Marcia's surprised. Are you surprised? You thought it would be that high.
And why would you think that?
Because I've just seen too many people that I know.
40%?
Yeah, almost 40%. I've seen too many people that I know just in my circle that just don't have anything to do with their mom and dad or one of their parents.
Yeah.
And I think that has changed because when you go back to older generations and stuff, the kid would do something that the parents greatly disapproved of, and they might cut out the child. I'm seeing more and more from a lot of the people that I know or are associated with talking about their being the reverse. The children don't want to have anything to do with their parents. I've seen that more and more now. It's the children deciding, I don't want to deal with my mom or my dad or whatever, versus the parents cutting them off because of some activity or conduct they were engaging in. And so that's a very.
I just don't know what to say.
Right.
And again, this is judgmental. But if you're a son and your mother, not your dad, now dads will cut you off. They'll cut you off. But your mother.
I think he's about to blame some people.
Yeah,
no, not blaming
nobody.
nobody.
Whenever he leaves off by not wanting to sound judgmental, that's exactly what he's getting ready to do.
But if you're a son and your mother cuts you off, because you know when you get into trouble and do all kinds of stuff, your mom is usually the last person standing beside you, not your dad. Now your dad he might just cut you off immediately. I knew he should do. But your mother is always going to be there, even when, and we've seen it. We've seen it on TV. The guy commits triple murder. I mean, everybody else is calling him all kinds, but his mom's
the only one in the courtroom.
So when your mother cuts you off, that's what I was wondering what the abuse was. When your mother, especially when she has a loving relationship
with the other
son, yeah.
When your mother cuts you off, that means you've done some pretty serious stuff. To have your mother say, you know what, I ain't have nothing else to do with it.
So it says 10%. We mentioned the nearly 40% of some kind of estranged relationship. 10% of parents are estranged from their child. So much lower, but that's still a pretty high figure. Now, you talked about, Marsh, the difference between, there's children estranged from their parents and then parents estranged from their children. And I agree with this sentiment. It says, while adult children are often praised, lauded for protecting themselves by estranging themselves from toxic parents or siblings, Williams, the woman we were talking about, she said mothers are villainized for doing the same. So it kind of goes also to what you were saying, Nigel, that if a mother cuts someone off, even if there's justification for it, in a society, you're like, I can't believe a mom cut him off. And there is a higher expectation.
Oh yeah, definitely from mother, right.
Which seems kind of unfair when you think about it. Lucy Blake, a psychologist and family estrangement researcher. That's a very specific.
Very specific. My goodness, how'd she find?
What's that called? What they call it again?
This family estrangement researcher. So she looks at why families break up.
She made up that title herself. Who knows what you get that from?
She says accusations of emotional abuse are a common reason, which is not surprising there. She says people often describe being yelled at, manipulated, called names. These behaviors, according to Ms. Blake, can be just as hurtful to someone's life and well-being as physical abuse. Y'all agree with that?
Yeah, I do.
I think so.
Definitely. Verbal abuse can be
worse.
Can be very cruel. Yeah, it can be very cruel.
There are some things that have been said to me, especially when I was younger, and I've said to others. I would have rather been punched than some of the things some people told me, and I'm sure they would have. I remember even just vividly now a comment I made to one of my best friends, and I since apologized, but I just wish I hadn't said it. Those things, those things can linger. When someone says something that hits you, especially at the time of your life, at the right time of your life, that can linger with you.
Right,
so, a lot of times you hear these sayings, cliche, and sometimes there's a lot of truth to them. But one that I think is absolutely false is when people say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt you. That is completely false.
Absolutely.
I understand why people say that, but it's just not true.
Some people's tongues
vicious.
Some people's tongue can cut you up way worse.
Yeah, the Bible speaks of that.
Somebody fighting on you, or things they say about you to other people, or things they say to you. That can really cut you. Whereas, if somebody, I don't know, hit you with a stick or stone, or you get into a fight with them, your little bruises will wear off and those type. But you'll always remember if somebody says something, particularly negative or something that's...
Well, actually, you remember both of those kind of situations. Physical and mental can both have the same kind of effect.
I don't really remember any tail kickers I got over the years. I don't really remember them, but I do remember when people say certain things, a long time ago or either recently. You do remember those things.
Right.
And so what she says before we leave this story, Miss Williams says she does have, when it comes to her son, she says things have gotten easier as time has gone on. She has grown accustomed to him not being part of her life. Quote, I have peace with this. There are times that I do miss my son. I do. But I have peace right now. She said, adding that her health and mental well-being are a priority now, especially as someone who is in cancer remission. She says, quote, I just want moms to be able to have a voice so that mothers no longer have to suffer in silence and they don't have to live in shame when they don't have these idealistic pictures of what their relationship with their children should be. All of that said, I still, first of all, all of us here believe in an all-powerful God. And any relationship can be fixed. I believe that. So I still have hopes that one day they will reconcile, because there is a moment where it becomes too late when one or the other passes.
Right.
And so, you don't want to be in that situation having regrets that you didn't. And I've heard cases of this too, where someone didn't reconnect with someone, and then one of them passes, and then it can't be ever made right in a sense.
It's just hard to imagine, and I know it could happen to anybody, because some of the people that I know, I consider to be actually good parents and loving parents, but there will be situations where one of their children, for whatever reason, just won't talk to them. They don't even know where the child is. Have no idea of his or her whereabouts.
Yeah.
And that just, to me, that was just seemed to me as a parent, and I'm sure to you, Myron, as well.
Worst case scenario.
Yeah, that's just horrible, man.
Even if I didn't speak to one of my children, I still want to know where they are.
Right. Correct.
And it even sounds like she knows where they are, because I guess she's the one that told you yesterday today you can call them here. Because
I just ain't talking to him. You can talk to him all you want to.
Right. Count me out.
And he wouldn't talk to them, but I don't blame him, because he's kind of been villainized in this whole type of situation.
Right.
Well, thing, like I said, the good thing about that story is that one of the positive things is that she does have another son. See, if he was the only son, only child, she does have another son. Sort of like us. If our mother was to fall out with one of y'all two, then they at least have two of the other. One of y'all two fall back on. She ain't gonna fall out with me, but one of y'all two. If she falls out with one of y'all two, we still have two. I mean, that we live, and I am reminded of this all the time, that we live. That we have a relationship with our family, and our family is close. But there are so many families that just are not.
It's easy to take for granted.
It's easy to take that stuff for granted.
And so we are. Do they know about the? Yeah, so we're doing a cookout for our mom and the moms in our families, the aforementioned this Sunday, out at the park. So looking forward to that, and moms, whether they want to be or not, tend to be the emotional center of most families.
No doubt.
Yes. And the glue holds everything together.
I think I can make that broad generalization, and that's kind of one reason that Mother's Day got started, to just recognize that. So happy Mother's Day to all mothers out there.
Indeed.
All right, Voting Rights Act, Marshall. You're the lawyer.
It's been a.
What did the Supreme Court do to it?
The Supreme Court took the final gutting act to the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which has been a vanguard for decades in protecting minority voting rights in this country. And it's been superb, done a yeoman's job, in that in the last 50, 60 years, you've seen a great influx of people of color being in elected positions and elected, all across the country. But this Voting Rights Act that the Supreme Court had actually gutted, they did it in two parts. The first part was the Section 5, I believe it was,
right.
Which required, if you had a history of discriminating against your minority voters in your jurisdiction, whether it be your state or your county and local government, we had some of that going on here in Cumberland County, then you had to, if you want to change your voting districts or precincts or move stuff around, you had to get pre-clearance from the federal government.
That's right.
And in other words, the federal government was the vanguard to make sure that whatever district you were trying to create or rearrange things, it wasn't going to have a negative impact on minority voting strength. Okay, so that was the whole point. Well, during President Barack Obama's term, the Supreme Court got rid of that,
which was conservative,
conservative court, and then so that's gone. So what started to happen, like here in North Carolina, you had states, particularly when they're drawing congressional maps and whatnot, they will draw a map that they know is going to have a bad impact on minority voting strength. And then they know they're going to get sued. They're okay with that. But by the time the court caught up to make a ruling and review that case and say, oh, this was a improper district, that person's already been elected and been in office. So
right. And that what that illustrates is why pre-clearance was so important.
Exactly.
Like the old days before they got rid of Section 5, I think it was 2022. Before they got rid of that, you couldn't just draw any legal district then get people elected under that district.
Right.
So now there's the other shoe has dropped.
Now the other shoe has dropped. The Supreme Court not only says no more pre-clearance, they have now said just because if you rearrange your voting districts and they have a negative impact on minority voting strength, that alone is not enough to halt what you're doing. You have to prove now that there was specific intent to discriminate or dilute minority voting strength. The smoking gun.
Right.
And that is almost impossible to prove. You'd have to have people getting caught on microphones or writing it down.
Or confess.
Right. Putting it in writing in some document that, we want to draw these black folks out of it. And you're not going to get, they're not going to find them.
Right.
So
it shifted the burden.
Right. To the people being discriminated against. That's what it did.
Right.
And as we know, a lot of those persons are not going to have the wherewithal or means to really try to ferret out some intentional racism or intentional discrimination. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So with that burden taken off of them, no pre-clearance, no discriminatory impact, no longer a factor to considered based on race or that kind of thing, then the states have now the states it was designed to impact or address the southern states in particular for their discriminatory conduct. They now have had those shackles pulled off of them completely. They can go draw things however they want to draw them, and have a negative impact on black voting strength wherever they want to have it.
Yeah.
And with little recourse by the people being discriminated against
every now
from
and then, Myron, you and Marshall prove your value to the show. Every now and then, you did a remarkable job.
We got a few tricks up our sleeve.
A few tricks up your sleeve. Marshall did a remarkable job of explaining that.
Remarkable job of
explaining, what the two things were that have been overturned in the Voting Rights Act and how it will impact people. He even had to get a drink. He was talking so long, he had to get a drink of water after that.
And those were those are the parts of the Voting Rights Act that had the teeth.
Oh, yes.
The most teeth. So that's why you see
that's why it was so
journalists
effective.
And politicians say the act has been hollowed out now. It still exists, but there's no enforcement mechanism in it.
And even the most ludicrous things to me, the thing that I always, even when I'm reading about the story and then you're hearing about comments and people, you always have a large amount of people who really either believe this or they're acting like they believe this, is that we're post-racial.
Yeah.
That we no longer need those parts of the Voting Rights Act. People will just be able to vote and everything's free and everything. We've had a black president now. We've had a black vice president now. why do we still need the Voting Rights Act from 1965? These are 64, 65. These are not the same people. And you hear that. I mean, you hear that, and they act as if that is true. Now, if you live in another part of the country, I don't know. But when you live, you know that when you live in the South, you know your neighbors.
Yeah.
You have talked to these people.
You've had dinner with them.
You've had dinner with them. You know how they feel about black and brown people. You've had these conversations. So they just flat out being disingenuous when they say that, or they really are just clueless when it comes to things of race.
So to get to what Marsha was saying earlier about southern states, so this decision, the Supreme Court, was announced April 29th, last week. That day, we all ran track, and y'all were sprinters, so you know when you line up at the line,
they couldn't wait.
They shoot the starter's pistol, and you're out like a shot. So that's what it was like. The Supreme Court shot the starter's pistol. Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, right out the gate.
Right.
Now South Carolina is talking about it. And what they're doing is they're eliminating, in all those cases, they had one majority black district.
Getting rid of it.
Go to their, Tennessee has already passed theirs. That was 1 week ago, remember. They have now passed theirs yesterday, a new map. They redraw districts. In Louisiana,
they stopped the whole primary process in Louisiana.
They had already started voting.
The primary.
42,000 people had voted.
What do they do with those votes?
Throw them out.
Well, right.
They're invalid.
We're gonna redraw these things.
Cast their ballot. Those 42,000 votes are gone. Tennessee's gonna redraw their districts.
Draw the black district out.
Mississippi. In each of these cases, one district. Now I'm gonna go out on a limb, and it's not that much out on a limb. The only reason North Carolina is not doing that,
it's just impractical at this point. It's not
impractical. It can't be done in time for the midterm elections, because that's what's looming over everything. Now we're talking about congressional districts here.
That's not going out on a limb. That's just taking a walk.
Yeah, taking a walk. That's right. So they want to try to hold on to the U.S. House of Representatives. The Republicans do, and these southern states are pitching in. Plus, they wouldn't even really need that, I think, impetus to do it. Because the reason the Voting Rights Act exists is because they know that black and minority voting rights would be trampled otherwise. Let's take just Tennessee as an example. They have a black majority district around the Memphis area.
Right.
It's also a black Democratic district because blacks tend to vote Democrat. So all they have to say, to get to Marshall's point, is, well, we're doing it so we can create another Republican district. You can say that under the court.
Right.
That is allowed.
Right.
You never have to mention race at all.
No.
And that's why the court's decisions were so important, because if you can just claim there's partisan reasons for doing it, or any reason,
right?
As long as you don't say race, you're good.
So now,
they call it cracking the.
Yeah, they call it cracking a minority district. So what they're going to do in Memphis, and we see this in North Carolina too, in terms of Democratic district, they're going to divide up into 3 parts. We've seen this. Fayetteville's all divided.
Oh yeah, they do that all the time.
So
from Cumberland
they're going
County,
to draw part of the district. Each of these 3 parts, they're going to draw into already conservative Republican districts,
like
probably in the rural areas.
It's like Chinese math.
And then they're going to have all Republican delegation. And why that's unfair is it's not obvious. Is there's a large black population in Tennessee,
right? And Mississippi
has one of the largest black populations. They all have huge black populations, and they're going to send congressional maps that show no black representation.
Right. And the thing about it, as I told you all yesterday when we were together, Louisiana, I don't think they've even ever had an African American elected at large in that state.
That's right.
And so it's just they're going to totally erase black folks from voting in
New Orleans and everybody else.
So now I've finally brought Myron around to my way of thinking when it comes to Supreme Court term limits. He's finally
I'm getting on down the road.
On board. What about you? You were against term limits too.
Well, I think federal judges in general, not just the Supreme Court. I'm not a fan of the life terms. I'm not. No, that's too long.
You can give them life terms. Just make life terms like in prison system. It's 20 years.
Yeah, or 18. Or 18, 20. Yeah.
18, 20 years.
That's enough.
That's enough.
Right.
That's enough for a person, for a court that is clearly not partisan. That is clearly partisan.
Right.
That's the problem. I mean, now if they were clearly not partisan, and this time they're voting this way, they're looking at the facts, they're voting, voting historically, they're looking at all those things. Yeah. Then I would be against that too.
Well,
but they're not doing it.
You had said it off air though. You're not going to get a non-partisan because people believe what they believe. They have their ideas
all day long, and they bring those ideas too. No matter what they say in their confirmation, they bring their ideas with them.
To their judgments, right.
All right, we have to get out of here. I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and we want to wish you a happy Mother's Day weekend. I am Marshall Pitts.
Module Pitts.
And Myron Pitts.
And we are